has to go to collections. Yes. And here's the thing, recovered expenditure right now, it is nearing 2 trillion. It's at 1.88. And to some level, it's something that you can't wish away, something that you have to keep on contending with as an economy. Grow your economy to the point that you are able to absorb this recovered expenditure.
True.
Good. When you look at that particular balance now, what they're saying, 60%, it's got to go to repayments of debt. And there are some heavy debt maturities that Ruto is going to contend with in the first 5 years of his tenure. The best advice would be what, Abraham? Because then if 60% of whatever it is that you're wishing, even if you would wish KRA today to collect 3 trillion, 60% of that is going to go to debt repayments. And then what? 1.8 trillion is going to go to your recovered expenditure. So you're left with what then for other purposes as a government?
No, I think the 60% is calculated based on 2 trillion.
Yes.
Because the debt service is about 1.2. Yes. So 1.2 over 2 trillion is 60%. So if you go to 3 trillion, then you'll require a much lower percentage. That is one. If you look at it in terms of the options, 2 things must happen. We must grow revenue. There's no other way. There's no way out. Because they're moving from a premise that we don't want to borrow. Yeah. So, and again, as I've insisted, to me, this financial year has to play out.
That particular margin, though, because because for him, he said that it's going to be above 25% if we're going to be close to the 4 trillion mark. But then in what way, Abraham, if we are celebrating 2 trillion in one after 60 years?
Because why? Because we keep going back to the usual suspects, the person who's salaried, the corporate, the people who are above radar. But we must think, we must go beyond, because this country is by and large an informal economy.
Yes.
And you just need to walk downtown and see how thriving those industries, those small shops are making good money. If all those contributed to our tax, would not be here. Because don't forget, tax is about putting money in a pot for government to buy as public goods at a wholesale price. Because they'll be able to buy our street lights at a price that it will be cheaper than you and I, everybody buying their own street light one by one. So they can do as roads. They can do as public schools, public health. So, but the public goods is worth it. So, and if people know that when I give this money, it contributes to my welfare and I can feel it, then compliance will go high. Number 2, people comply when the tax rates are low. And these things have been calculated. There's a threshold below which people self-comply. Because people are like, you know what, I don't want to carry on my head. There's not much to pay here. But they don't pay because the tax rate is high, and 2, the tax regime is too complicated for the average investor. Yeah.
Pretty much. So, Abraham, from what you're saying now, just play the I would say the neutral person in this conversation.
Yeah.
You have a president here who's telling you we got to figure out how to deliver those promises we made. Yeah. Some of them are fast running at us in the first 100 days. You've seen exactly how they've adjusted the Hustler Fund. At least they have started to deliver on that. But in 5 years, we did say we're going to elevate the economy. We're going to come up with, we're going to increase revenue collection for KRA. They're saying there's a possibility that indeed we can get this 25% plus in the first 1 year of us being in office. Are you still going to go back to the president, tell him, stick to the plan, the 2.6 trillion that you need to deliver on those promises is actually going to be a possibility when you have dockets like education that are going to come back to you. And by the way, what we've not spoken about, Abraham, is that you increase employment in education in the health sector. You also blow up another budget called recovered expenditure. You got to pay those salaries. Are you going to still go back to him and tell him, yes, we can, or hold on to some of those promises?
You see, the challenge we're all facing is that we want these things to happen tomorrow. And they will not.
Yes, but you have a president who's telling you it's possible. We've seen it.
Even on the prices, the other day he said the price of meals will take a year.
Yes.
So slowly that is coming, because those are the realities. Certain things, anything that involves process takes time.
So you gotta believe indeed you're gonna deliver within that period that you promised.
Yes, yeah. You see, certain things will happen in that 100 days, but certain things will not. And the thing is this: personally, and to be fair to this government, I think we would rather hang them on the budget that they're going to prepare, which is the coming one.
Yes.
This one they did not prepare.
Which is
give it to them.
Which is going to be considerably low as well, going by the plans to cut expenditure as well.
And it is the texture and the feel of that coming budget that will show us really how it's going to look. Because this other one, really, you boarded a bus that was already moving. This other one, they'll be able to say, okay, fine, this is our budget. This is what we want to achieve. You know, the budget process starts from the budget policy statement of what do you want to achieve.
Does it?
Now that budget policy statement will be driven by the manifesto.
Pretty much.
Yes.
But, and then is it a bit worrying then, Abraham, that looking at what we've seen so far from this mini budget and budget proposals, that we haven't seen exactly what Kerry is going to do different? That has not been a standout. No,
I think we'll not see that now. I think
it's revenue driven.
I think what we're doing now is the patient has been brought to ICA to the A&E, and we're trying to stop the bleeding. That's all. Stabilize them. Then now you can fix other things later.
Yes.
That's what is going on now.
But doesn't Ruto look like a man who's coming out of office saying it's going to be about revenue collection, revenue collection, revenue collection? But this is a joke, though, and they did say this over the weekend, that we got to pray for the government to increase revenue collection by 25%. But on paper, what have we seen? That's what's going to happen different to Kerry.
You see, Kerry, the thing is, Kerry is collecting the revenue they're collecting based on the laws and the policies they have at the moment. Those policies and laws are going to be reviewed. That's my personal opinion. They're going to be reviewed, and they're going to be reviewed substantially. Personally, what I would like to see is, first of all, reduce the complexity of the tax regime, tax legal regime, by doing exactly what we did with the land laws. Previously, the land laws were very complicated. And what happened? They were all brought down, and we had laws for each regime, RLA, GLA. You see, they brought new. Now, this one we can bring down all this because there's the multiplicity of acts and regimes and who's tax exempt, who's rated, and come up with, if it is VAT, let's have one law. If it's PE, one law. So that we have just 6 verticals that somebody can look at and say, I am compliant. Right now, if I ask you if you're compliant, you will not tell me yes or no. And that's why you see tax has moved. All disputes in tax are no longer financial, they're legal. Because about interpretation. Because for everything, you'll have 2 or 3 things. Because with tax, 5 times 2 cannot have any other meaning other than 10. But with the current regime, you'll go to court, you'll have your interpretation, I'll go to court. And you're talking about numbers. So we have to, first of all, fix that regime so that now the tax is clear and it is simple. Number 2, we have to think that this tax net, we've taxed these guys too much. These particular guys, let's widen the tax bracket, so that everybody participates in paying tax. And if everybody is participating, then we don't need to pay so much. We can lower our rate and pay more. Don't forget, in developed countries, people pay up to 50% of their tax. Why do they do that? Because over time, government has taken over so many things, education, health, public transport, so that even the money, or even the 50% that you're remaining with is basically saving because the government takes care of everything. If it's health here, you've seen proposal of increasing how much you put to NHIF, to NSF. It is the only way. Because if I'm paying more, if I'm being paid more, I should have no problem paying more, knowing that this money I'm paying for my fellow citizen who can't. You see, and that is how it is. The government exists to protect the weak from the strong, the poor from the rich. That's what government exists for. It exists for welfare, it exists for fairness, it exists for equity and not for equality.
I did promise Abraham, we're waiting for the first 100 days and they're fast approaching. Guess what? I'll be calling you back.
Please
now,
do.
so we can look at that scorecard, particularly, and say, we've scored on this, we failed on this, because we didn't have those promises. And I know they're looking at them saying, how do we deliver on them? Abraham, thank you very much for creating time, man.
Most welcome.
I appreciate it. Now, take the CEO from Iradi Capital the moment he walked into the studio at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiaga Simba. All those questions have come in, by the way, we normally sample them, and I do promise, 100 days is not long. I'm going to call them back. It could be, 15, 20 days from now. Guess what? I'm going to sit and then say, where haven't we scored? Because if indeed his plan looks as if it's going to be revenue driven, because he's saying no more borrowing and cut that expenditure. So Kerry has to collect, must collect, and from the look of things, they will collect. So let's wait and see exactly what happens. This is Look at Business. Let's meet tomorrow. Look at the performance of a different segment in the real estate sector. Good afternoon.
Africa.